Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk Podcasting Tips. Today I am joined, so far at least, by Anthony Hayes and Ron. How do you say your last name? Caniff?
Caniff, yes.
Caniff. I guessed right. Awesome. Uh, Anthony, why don't you get started by introducing yourself and your show, and then Ron take the lead there.
Yeah, sure. I'm Anthony Hayes. I'm from me, myself, and iRadio.com, and I have a podcast and a blog, and we talk about basically overcoming your obstacles despite what your circumstances must be. And I draw on personal experiences mostly from that, and hope people learn some lessons to help them in their lives by learning by my mistakes and my obstacles that I've overcome.
You're up, Ron.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. My name is Ron Caniff, and I'm launching a podcast called Unsquish the Fish, which is about as opposite of Anthony's podcast as it could possibly be. It's a sports fan podcast for the Miami Dolphins.
Cool.
Awesome. And as always, I'm Joe Pardo. You can find me more over here at joepardo.net and howtodream.co. With the Dreamers podcast, where I interview people who are living their dreams to inspire others. I just released my book a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure. Time's just been flying by.
Yeah.
It's Joe Pardo's. Oh wait, the camera's over here. 31 life-changing concepts. It's available in Kindle format for 99 cents. It's available in audiobook format for $3.95, I think, and $24.99 for the hard copy. So check it out. It was #1 on Amazon's free list. So woohoo! That was 2 weeks ago, and trying to get it back now. So whole new #1 to go after. Also, the other big thing coming up is this little thing over here, Podcast Mid-Atlantic. It's a podcast conference September 12th in South Jersey, right outside of good old Philadelphia. And we just now have Jared and Steve. So welcome to the show. Jared, why don't you get started by introducing yourself?
My name is Jared Wade, and I own a podcast network called the Amalgam Podcast Network. And right now we've got one show in full production, which is called Geek Stuff Off the Cuff. Then we've also got another show in late pre-production, which means that we've announced it, but we're still finishing out a few of the other shows called Life's Riddle. And then we've got 3 more slated to be released over the next 6 months or so.
And Steve, introduce you and your show.
Hi, Steve Child. I do a Game of Thrones podcast called A Flood of Talk. Just put up our first episode for season 5, and we're gonna be recording our second show for the second episode later tonight. And that's at afotpodcast.com.
Great, and I'm so glad to have all you guys. In fact, Jared, I just sent you an email earlier today. I don't know if you realized it was me.
Yeah, I saw that come through. I've got another person that responds to some of the emails. We've gotten an influx in inquiries, so I've actually kind of pawned off the whole initial emails that are coming in to somebody else.
Oh, it's nice when you're able to do that. Congratulations.
I don't know if it's nice because I don't get to actually get into them hands-on, but I kind of missed that first little approach.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons I do this show, so I get to interact with all kinds of people doing all kinds of podcasts and get to learn at the same time. So it's always a good thing. So actually, I'm interested with you, Jared, getting started. Now, what would you attribute to all this influx of people wanting to be on your show, including myself? So,
That's a hard question. I know that we've had some pretty solid guests, and I don't know if that's the case or if it's just being out there. I think part of the whole process of podcasting and is is just getting out there, is just letting people know, hey, we're here, we're doing what we're doing. So unfortunately, I can't. I don't have the secret sauce, my friend. I don't know what it is that's causing people to reach out to us. It happened pretty quickly. I mean, we've got 26 shows officially out, and I want to say probably after the 20th show was when we started getting a pretty steady influx of people just reaching out. So now the show that we've had a lot of people reach out to is Geek Stuff Off the Cuff, and it's not a business podcast. It's more of an entertainment podcast. It's a conversational podcast between myself and my co-host Tony, who we talk back and forth about anything and everything in geek and pop culture related. Now, the only thing that might differentiate between what we do and what some other folks do is we both have radio backgrounds. We both come from the industry of speaking and talking and whatnot, so that might have something to do with it, just having some sort of a background. But yeah, no, I don't know the special drink that we've taken.
Well, if there's a special drink or a secret sauce, I want to talk to you after the show, Jared.
Sure. Yeah. If I can figure that out, I'd be happy to talk to everybody about it. So.
So the new guy here is Ron, who doesn't even have his show up yet, and I was curious, Ron, real quick, reintroduce yourself for everyone who wasn't here the first time around.
I'm Ron Caniff out of Florida, and I'm doing a sports fan podcast for the Miami Dolphins called Unsquish the Fish.
And it's all about the Miami Dolphins, so it's a fan-based podcast, and I was curious if you had any questions now, since you're very close to getting started, that maybe some of us could field for you.
Right now, I have no initial questions. I've probably spent too much time researching how to podcast and not enough time actually podcasting, to tell you the truth. I initially tried to launch a similar podcast a couple years ago. I knew absolutely nothing whatsoever. Got a little frustrated, then decided, okay, I need to learn more about this. And then probably maybe I took that to the nth degree at this point, and I'm ready to actually just launch and get started.
Now, have you been blogging at all in the meantime?
I have not been blogging, no.
Okay, because as you probably realize, starting a blog, it's a much lower technical level to get in, and you could start gaining audience now rather than waiting on it.
The way I've actually been promoting myself for the last while is through Facebook connections. I've started friend requesting Dolphins fans slowly but surely. A few here, a few there, a few here, a few there, and now I've gotten to a point where I have literally hundreds, like 500 or 600 Dolphin fans on my Facebook, just my regular Facebook. I interact with them, I talk with them some, I like their stuff, just kind of building a connection a little bit so that when I do launch the podcast, and I actually have my Facebook launch page already set up, but I haven't really sent it out, but a few people that know me, like I think I sent it to you, Joe, if I'm not mistaken, but I just sent it to a few people, but I actually haven't sent it out to them yet until I actually launch. That was really more my thought process on how to just kind of get started, trying to find my audience, but without just coming out of nowhere, no one knows who I am, and say, hey, I'm here, listen to my podcast.
That's cool.
So does anybody else have any what's the burning questions going on in your mind?
I not really regarding podcasting, but Ron, where in Florida are you located? Because I'm in Florida too.
Oh, are you? I'm in Brevard County, Palm Bay.
Brevard, Palm Bay. All right, I'm in West Palm Beach. I don't know how far that is from you.
I actually work in Jensen Beach, which isn't too far from where you are. I drive pretty far south to work.
Oh, okay, cool.
How about you, Steve? What's been going on with your show or shows? Sorry.
Well, it's only one right now. I do plan on starting another show for the Walking Dead spinoff. But as far as like questions for podcasting, I don't know. I think as far as like setting up the content and putting it out there. I think I'm doing okay with that. Where I kind of still do my research on is like marketing to see what's the best avenues for marketing to kind of broaden my audience and just get the podcast out far and more far and wide than it is. So that's kind of where my research is at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, I'm done.
Oh, I was going to say, Jared, do you have any input on that? Because I've given lots of input on that in the past, and I was curious to get a fresh look at it.
What was the question one more time? Sorry, I was reading something. That
No
was
problem.
totally my fault.
It's all right.
I was just doing research on marketing, and Joe, you actually have you do have some great information out there, and the articles that you post on the Mid Atlantic podcast page, they're very informative. So,
Oh, thank you.
that too. But basically, my question would just be on some of the effective ways that some of you guys who have kind of built a decent audience. What are some of your marketing strategies? And I guess, Jared, you have an entertainment podcast. So I guess specifically, like what were some of your strategies to kind of get that particular podcast in front of in people's ears, more or less?
Well, the different shows that we've got coming out, granted, Geek Stuff Off the Cuff is more of a entertainment podcast. Our second show, Life's Riddle, is actually a podcast that is focused on autism, and so it's a very, very different field. It's a very, very different community that we're outreaching. So I'll kind of go into a little bit of detail of how I approached both of those, starting with the broad spectrum of just podcasting in general. My research, the little amount of research that I went into before I just launched, which I think launching is 95% of the battle that anybody gets to, is how am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? How what's it going to sound like? Don't ask yourself too many questions because you're going to talk yourself out of it. Just do it. There's too many ways and forms and fashions for you to get your stuff out there. After I just did it, I honestly just took about 2 solid weeks of Google searching and Bing searching and Yahoo searching for podcast databases. And I applied myself to any place that would allow me to put my RSS feed out there. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter if it was a place that I'd never heard of before. It didn't matter if it's a place that hasn't been updated in 2 or 3 years. I honestly have sheets and sheets in Google Drive of just places that I've put myself out there. And I think that's kind of the first step. It doesn't necessarily matter to me whether it's a business podcast, if it's an entertainment podcast, if whatever it is. If it's a podcast, you just got to get your name out there and as many places as possible and regularly. So that would be my first step, is just getting out there and telling everybody about it. From there, when we start segregating into, okay, now this is an entertainment versus Life's Riddle, which is more of a specialized and vocal, whether it be I don't want to really call it business, but health and education and whatnot. That one you got to approach those two differently. So the geek stuff is more comic books, more tabletop games, more entertainment, celebrities, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to promote that in the same places as the other ones. Yeah. And for what you got going on with the Game of Thrones, you've got to figure out your niche, and you got to do some research into, okay, how many other Game of Thrones podcasts are out there? How many am I not necessarily competing with, but I don't want to advertise mine the same place that 15 other ones are being advertised, because the listener is going to see 15 different options and then probably go with the guy that's got 30 or 40 episodes already under his belt. So you have to be creative. You have to use different sources, and anything that's free, I say go for it. If you use Instagram, use them on your Instagram account. Create individual icons and not called cover photos. What are they called? It's like the little images that go along with each one of your
I know
shows on that. Create different ones of those and throw them on Instagram and Pinterest and Tumblr and whatnot and share the crap out of them. Just everywhere that you go, whenever you have it, save it on your phone and just throw it out there. That's worked really well for us. That plus Reddit. Reddit is a great source for pretty much anything and everything. Game of Thrones or dance raves that are happening in somebody's house as a ringtone is going off. But,
Sorry.
No,
I was actually pulling up Steve's podcast as you were talking. I was looking at his website.
Oh, I thought I just had some really cool background music that was happening. As I was talking. So, that would be my suggestion, though, my friend. Is find out what your show's focused on, but then find out. Don't advertise the same exact places as everybody else that has the same exact show that you have. Start being creative and start being unique, because if you can grab somebody that is on a medium that nobody else has tapped yet, Pinterest as an example, if you can find a Game of Thrones listenership on Pinterest that nobody else has touched yet, that's going to be great for you in the long run.
Yep. Good advice.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's it's very time consuming, that's for sure. I know getting started, I was doing a lot of that same type of stuff, and I mean, ultimately, my show, I've set it up so a lot of it's just automatic at this point, on on Twitter and on Facebook and stuff like that. But I try to gain I get a lot of interaction, doing stuff like this and doing stuff. Like more, I take the more one-on-one approach outside of the Facebook and the Twitter game. But it's also because I do like 20 different things. If you go to this website, the joepardo.net, you'll see all the projects I got going on. It's sickening. But yeah, I think that I think Jared's right that if you're serious about like this is my show and I'm going to do what I have to do to make it that much more bigger and get an engaged audience, you have to be willing to log those hours and going to different websites, talking on different message boards, going to different Facebook groups, talking to people, and getting people to go back. One of the things that I did was in my banners, like on Facebook and stuff, like a lot of these communities, you're not supposed to self-promote, right? Like whether it's your articles or your podcast. But if you're constantly active and you use your banner to put like your podcast's logo up there, it's eye-grabbing. So if they click, if they're interested in what you're saying, obviously they're, at that point they're clicking on you, they're interested. That's the first thing they're going to see. So you have the potential to grab, a potential listener and hopefully make a fan and then hopefully make a friend, all from that interaction that you're putting out there. So. That's just something that I've done because, again, you can't self-promote, but you're allowed to interact, and if they click on your page, or they click on your Facebook page, then that's on them.
Yep.
So, it's a little underhanded, but I mean, if you're coming from a place of like adding value to the group, no one's going to care.
Right.
So, Joe, can I add to that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
I did notice that as well, that in the group, obviously there's several Miami Dolphins Facebook groups. And I did notice, and I would go through the rules, and several of them say no solicitation. So that was part of why I decided to try and just friend request many of the people that are in the group instead. Because now if they say yes, they've said yes to my friend request, I post something on my own Facebook, they're still seeing that without me shoving it in their face or putting it on the group. Plus, likely, I'm getting a lot of the active members of the group. But also, I had another idea. Of course, I can't, because haven't actually launched yet. I can't do it. Was since I do have a fan podcast for me, and I don't know about you, Steven, if you've ever talked to other fans of Game of Thrones on your podcast, was asking some of the administrators of the group to be on the show. Because if they're on the show, then they're going to throw it out to the group as well, which is another opportunity to get your podcast out there without violating the rules of the group. And I would imagine there's some Game of Thrones groups or on Facebook, I would guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Just some other thoughts on maybe some ways to go about it without getting kicked out of the group because you advertised and you weren't supposed to.
Unless you feel really, really confident and you just run in there and you're like, I'm going to do my show and I'm going to tell everybody about it later.
Yeah.
And you just leave, and that would just not be good for you. But yeah, if you got the cojones and you want to do that, then go for it. But I agree with the other gentleman. I'm trying to remember your name. I'm sorry, Ron.
Ron.
Yeah, I agree with Ron that make goody with the admins. Buddy up with them as quick as you can. Let them know what you got going on, and then throw them out there.
Yeah, good points.
Yeah, I will say this, Ron. When I was getting started, it was the whole like pamphlet of, hey, if you have people on your show, they're gonna advertise your show, and then they're gonna amplify the thing, and it's gonna be amazing, and everyone's gonna know your name within like 6 months if you have 100 episodes, and that's not really the case. Some people do share. Usually the people that are lesser known are more likely to share than people that have like huge followings. And speaking of people that share, we got Doc Kennedy that just came in. So what?
What's up, bud?
Hey man, why don't you introduce yourself and your show and let everybody know what you're about?
Oh boy. So I'm Doc Kennedy. I'm building a podcast right now called Filmmakers Focus. Blog on there a little bit, and also have a podcast called Dream Warriors, and happy to be here. So sorry I'm late.
Hey, we all get late sometimes. So we were just talking about how to go about spreading your show through either social media or other channels. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. There's been a little bit of talk lately on some of the Facebook. Well, yesterday I got a message from a guy just talking about how he wanted me to check out his show and leave him some honest feedback. Well, then we find out, that he's copy and pasted this message to a lot of people, and it just doesn't do much for anybody. If you're not going to take the time to get to know people a little bit, try to help them out best you can. Best thing you can do is just take that time to build those relationships, and it's not going to be a microwave situation. It's a little bit of more of a crock pot, but that's okay. That's where the best stuff's made.
I'd agree with that.
Steve, sorry, Joe. I see that you're on iTunes. Have you applied to Stitcher as well? Stitcher Radio, familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm on Stitcher.
Oh, okay, cool.
Anthony, did you have anything to add on the social media spreading your message?
A lot of the stuff I actually do is word of mouth. I've been talking to a lot of coworkers, family members, things of that nature. Handing out business cards with my web address on it and stuff, and tell them what I have going on. And for me, that's been an easy way to have people promote me because they're people I know personally. So if I post a blog post or something, they're pretty much guaranteed to repost it and things like that. So I've been pretty successful with that. But I've been pretty much doing a little bit of what everybody's saying, getting out there and, friend requesting people and, networking in that aspect. Unfortunately, with Twitter right now, it seems like it's just so flooded with just garbage that it's somewhat become unreliable unless you really are somebody. And that's just my personal experience.
I agree with that, Anthony. I thought that Twitter would be the way I go, and I realized it's just a clutter. Everything's just so in and out so quick.
Yeah, and I get flooded with a ton of requests from just random things that have nothing to do with me, my show, or anything. It's just a bunch of random people who somehow see my feed somewhere. So I don't really try to rely on that too much. I mean, obviously, I'm set up to automatically post. It'll post all my social networks. But a lot of just getting in little social circles and groups and discussion groups and things like that. Eventually, somebody's going to reach out to you, or you'll be able to reach out to them one-on-one and build relationships that way. And hopefully, it spawns into something good that'll help you in the long run.
I agree. I mean, there's no substitution for making friends and that there's no substitution for making friends. I don't know any other way to say it. So
Yeah, especially if it's people within the thing that you're interested in. You know what I mean? Like I know very few people that don't watch Game of Thrones. So like the fact that you have such a
this is a high five.
I don't have HBO. Lock that thing down.
get with the program, gentlemen.
Sorry.
So hopefully like because if I had a podcast in Game of Thrones, all my friends would be listening to it. So hopefully you have a lot of friends that are interested in the show, and they all know about it and they're on board with that. So that'd be awesome. Just talk to people who are like-minded.
Yep.
I want to hit on something you just said there, Anthony. If you had a podcast about Game of Thrones, all your friends would be listening. I'm gonna say no, they wouldn't be listening. And I'm gonna say no because you know what? Well, Steve, you how many friends do you have that listen to your show?
Oh well, not most of them don't.
Really? Let's explore this a little bit more.
You need to get some new friends.
All of my friends, I mean, like everybody that I know knows that I have this podcast. Some of them listen, most of them don't, and most of my listeners are not my friends or family. So most of the people who listen are people I don't even know. So it's I see stats and I see that there's listeners. I don't know who they are. But I would say that most of talking, and I was like, yeah, my friend, I was agreeing with him in the sense that I made sure that the people that are in my personal circle knew that I was doing the show, So, and people and whenever I meet anybody in person, and I get to know them, and I find out that, and we, through just conversations, we both watch Game of Thrones, they will know that I do.
That's your thronies?
Yeah. Here's the funny
Thronies.
I have like on my Facebook page, there's like so many people on my Facebook page that I have conversations with about Game of Thrones, like every single week when the show's on. And they all know that I have a show, but they don't all listen,
Make them.
Do we think Joe, if I may ask,
yeah,
some of the reason that is, and I've heard that from other podcasters, that their friends and their family don't listen, is because podcasting, even though it's been around for more than a decade, isn't still as common a medium to listen to content as we may think it is as podcasters. Some people don't understand what a podcast is or how you listen to it or how you get it, and half of people's cars now have Bluetooth, but their phone isn't connected to it because they don't know how, and they could just throw on a podcast and listen to their friend Steve talk about one of their favorite shows, and they don't even realize they can do it. But if he had a television show, I bet you they'd be there in a half a second. Oh, yeah, Steve's on TV, because they know about that remote. They've been doing that for 50 years.
You got one problem.
As time goes on, it'll get more and more common for people to just listen to podcasts.
There's one problem, Ron.
Yes.
They know you.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to listen.
Yep.
Nope. I learned a long time ago my success is not going to rise or fail if my friends or family are not involved. It all has to do with me and breaking outside and reaching out to those people that are into what I have for them. And I really don't care if my friends or family are involved. They don't need to be. I want to do my thing. They don't need to be in every facet of my life. That's how I feel about it. And it took a while to learn that, but once I did, it was quite freeing, because then it was like, oh, I'm in charge of this. It doesn't matter if they're involved.
So a good story for that is a good friend of mine, Mike Scopa, who's been blogging and podcasting for over 20 years, and all about Disney World. And he has people like, we were at Marathon Weekend down in Disney World, and over 500 people stopped on the side of the course to give him a hug, a sweaty hug, but a hug. And you know what? I remember asking him when he was on my show. I asked him, how did his family and friends take it? And basically, I was like, do they read your stuff? Did they listen to your podcast? And he's like, no, they don't do any of that stuff. And I said, well, why do you think that is? And he said, the reason is because just ask Mike. If you want to know about something, just ask him. You don't have to read about it. You don't have to listen about it. Just ask the guy because he's right there. I mean, my wife listens to my show from time to time. It depends on the guest. That's the thing. So, like, Steve, if you had, people that are on Game of Thrones on your show, all your friends, they're going to be listening to that show. But they ain't listening because, Steve's got a show. They're listening because I don't even know any of the actors in the show. But
the Mother of Dragons.
There you go, is on the show. And that's the reality. If I think Ron has a point where if we were talking about TV, and it was at a time like, oh, I'm on public access at 2 in the morning. No one's watching that. Well, some people are, but probably not your friends and family.
No.
I was just thinking of this.
Paper boys.
No, but you're right. If you were on a TV show, if like you were on Family Feud or something, they're all going to tune in. But this isn't that. This is you spewing your opinion on something that they may or may not be interested in. And even if they are, they're probably still not going to tune in.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, man, Jesus was rejected in his hometown by his friends and family. Why shouldn't I be too?
Nice.
Okay.
That's one way to look at it. Jared, what's your opinion? You haven't said anything about it.
Oh, I'm just listening. I'm just taking this all in. I'm just being a disciple, listening in. So,
disciple.
I agree. I think that the first question that you have to ask yourself is, am I making this for me or am I making this for somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And by default, if you say I'm making this for somebody else, then you just need to stop. You just got to stop, because podcasting, and this is my own personal opinion, podcasting is not a top medium as of right now. Podcasting has been it's the tortoise in the hare story. It's been slowly creeping along for many years, and it's the only reason that it's in the popularity that it is right now is primarily because of Serial. And I don't think anybody can deny that by saying no, it was more popular before everybody knew about Serial. Serial was the show that kind of brought podcasting to the general population for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
If you talked about podcasting pre-Serial, or if we're going to stick with the Jesus references, that would be BS. So if you were with podcasting BS, which sounds weird now, then you're probably one of those guys or girls that is either in the process of creating their own show, or you've got your own show going right now. If you're post BS or AS, you're probably not in the same mentality, I guess, as those that have been listening for a longer period of time. I feel that those that are creating shows post Serial are more focused on the accolades, how can I get a show as popular as Serial? How can I get sponsorships? How can I get thousands upon thousands of dollars to record my own opinion about anything and everything that happened many years ago? Whereas then you look at the extremely popular shows that have been strong for a very long time, whether it be Nerdist or whether it be Adam Carolla or what else is out there? Twit, anything like that. It's never really been about the fan end, I guess you should say. Mm-hmm. It's always been about them creating the content that they want to create. Chris Hardwick talks about that in great extent in almost every other episode. He's very blunt about saying, do something that you want to do because you can do it. And in today's society, you can do pretty much anything that you want to do. If you want to make a podcast, about Game of Thrones, then go for it. But make sure that you don't lose that passion. If all of a sudden it becomes, well, I want my friends to listen to it, or I want to make more money than anybody else ever, then you're going down the wrong path. So, and I'm not saying that that's what you're doing now. I think that you're taking the right approach. I think that you're going about it the right way. You got to keep that focus and keep that guideline on there. So I've been very lucky and very blessed that we're able to have sponsors on shows now, and we're able to gradually get to that point. But that's not the focus. That's not the goal of why I do what I do. It's because I enjoy doing it, and it's because I get to have a really cool microphone and do something.
Amen.
Yeah, it's the little things in life that bring happiness. So.
Yeah, and that's what I will say is that when I started doing this, when I started podcasting, really I only really started because I enjoyed listening to them, and I thought it would be something that would be fun to do, especially for things that I was interested in. I definitely would want people to listen, obviously. But the primary reason why I do these shows is because, for instance, with the Game of Thrones, is the show that I really like, and I want to create a podcast about it. And it's fun. I mean, I sit down with 2 other co-hosts, and we talk about this show that we love. It's a great time. We spend about an hour or so talking about the show. I put it up. I have gotten listeners over the course of time, and we didn't even start this show at the beginning. I started the podcast at the beginning of season 3, and I've actually been happy with where I've been able to get with the show, coming from just like a nobody, unknown doing the show to actually have the small amount of listeners that I do have. So I am happy about that. But you're always you want to improve what you're doing. But I am happy with where I am right now with the show in general.
Good.
Yeah. So it's always interesting when I know me personally, when I have family members who will talk highly about my show, but then when I start talking about the show, they really have no idea. Like they don't they're just like, oh, it's a prestigious thing, right? And for me, that's the way my show has become now, is more of a prestigious thing than a how do I get sponsorships, how do I make money, how do I for me it's I built this platform, and that's really what it's all about for me at this point, a year in. So Ron, this is what you had to look forward to. Though in your case, you might, since yours is potentially a localized podcast, for Dolphins fans, obviously there's Dolphins fans all over the world. Sorry for them, but the people that live in the area at least, that there's a potential there for you to actually maybe go get some sponsors and to actually make it, a good example of that is my friend Nick Gelso, who runs the CLNS network, which is all about the Celtics. And he doesn't even live in Boston. He lives in Reading, Pennsylvania. So there's definitely a potential, and he makes his whole living out of that now. It's a whole network of podcasts that he's built over time, but it all started with the Celtics late night show that was like 11:30 at night after the Celtics would get done playing.
Nice.
Get done playing. So, hey,
Celtics After Dark.
Yeah.
On the quiet.
It sounded pretty sexy.
Yeah.
How do you go about working in sponsorship when they're attached to the NBA, NFL, something like that?
Well, they're
Depends on what the sponsor is.
It's no different than the NFL Network would be than ESPN. They get sponsorships, and all they do is talk about sports. So it's not anything that they have the right to say, oh, since you're talking about the Miami Dolphins, you're not allowed to get sponsorships for your show. Now, if I'm using things that are restricted, like their logos and things like that, that's a different story. That kind of gets into a different realm. Some of the NFL teams are very protective about that. The Redskins in particular, but most teams know that there are fan sites, fan podcasts, things like that. Believe it, I wasn't a joke about the Redskins either. They actually are protective.
Yeah.
Like at one point,
they are a joke.
one time iTunes ripped out everything that was Redskins off of iTunes because they said that there was logo infringement going on. I read about that recently. So
They should do that
you
with
are
the
allowed
Eagles.
to get advertising.
Makes
Don't go
sense,
there,
though.
Doc.
Makes sense.
No, I could see that though. But I mean, yeah, getting sponsors like local restaurants, or if there's like a local bars to the stadium. I've never been to the Miami Dolphin Stadium, so I don't know what's right there. But you could potentially go and get sponsorship for that stuff. Set up game. Hey, here's an idea. Set up game day.
No.
Live stream game day, right? Like
That'd be cool.
you get your car, pop the trunk, pull out a table, get your mic out, and hook up your phone and start broadcasting live
That'd be
using Google
awesome.
Hangout on air. Yeah, I mean, totally.
Awesome.
Tailgate, drink.
Tailgate podcast, nice.
Who wouldn't want a little pod gating?
I love it.
Podgating. I like that. Can is
Trademark.
that coined? Do you
Yep,
already
I
have
just got
that
it. I
trademark?
just got it.
Podgating?
Yep. I'm getting on GoDaddy right now, and I'm going to buy the URL.
Hey guys, I gotta go. Bye. No, I'm kidding. Not if I beat you to it.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's plenty of ways for you to help do that, and maybe even here's an idea. A lot of these tailgaters they sell tickets.
Mm-hmm.
They sell tickets for their stuff. I mean, if you'd have to find somebody in the right, the perfect storm would have to be going on because a lot of them are selling out probably without even trying. But if you found somebody that was just getting started, you could help spread the word. You know what I mean? Or get yourself a spot at one of these tables, and then all of a sudden you could potentially, you have built-in fans right there, literally at your fingertips. I love this idea. I love it.
I'm not sure I'd attach my podcast to a scalper.
Oh, not to a scalper. No. Not tickets like that. They sell tickets to sell food for the tailgating.
Oh, okay, good.
So, because my neighbor does that. He works 6 days a week, and then on Saturday nights he'll cook food and then take it, and then he has like a bus that is it's all decked out in Eagles stuff, and he parks it wherever in the neighborhood. But that's beside the point. The point is he takes it and he sells tickets for people to have food for tailgating, and then that pays for his season tickets.
Okay.
So by halftime he's in the stadium watching the rest of the game. So I think that's something that's a potential for awesome sponsorship. But
okay.
Yeah. So
my bad for taking that wrong.
No problem. No problem. I said the word ticket, so
Scalper wasn't a Redskins pun either. So.
I hope not.
Nice.
Oh, those Redskins.
But that's a good point though that you made. I would if you haven't considered it already, I would definitely consider having some type of mobile equipment. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be totally awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thought too. And I've always gone to the cheap parking when I go to the game, so maybe I'll spend the extra money and go to the nicer parking close.
Yeah, parking spot change your life.
My show.
Well, I'm a lifelong Seahawks fan, but I love the NFL, so I would tune into something like yours. No problem.
He seems to be knowledgeable about all the teams and stuff that's going on from what we were talking about before the show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because even if
definitely.
you're not a Dolphins fan, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
I follow all the nice. I follow all the teams, but obviously I'm a diehard Dolphins fan. But I follow all the teams, man.
That's how I am. So I'd totally tune into something that was I'd love supporting other podcasters, and also just to have that live feel for somewhere that's across the country from me. That's awesome.
So, was there any other questions that was burned on anybody's mind?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's not a question, but I actually submitted to iTunes and Stitcher, and I'm on both now. So it's kind of a success for me.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sweet.
15 episodes, I think, so far. And actually, just the other day, I did my first interview here in my studio. When I say studio, I mean my house. With a he's a friend of mine, but he's also a a very successful poet and writer and author and editor, and he's got several degrees in writing and creative writing, and writing is something that is pretty big in my life as well, and it correlates to my show. So I actually interviewed him for the show regarding writing, so it kind of worked out really well, and I'm like 92% done editing it right now, so it should be up pretty soon. So that's pretty exciting.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
Show?
Do a lot of you guys record like multiple people in one location?
No, I do my show. My co-hosts are on Skype. So.
Most
How
of
about-
everything that we do is in-house. Excuse me. It's I found that being a mobile is a huge advantage. If you can be mobile but still sound really, really good like you're in a studio,
Yeah.
for some reason that's huge points for any place that you're going to go to, i.e., Podgating or whatnot. If you go out there with your phone and you record, you could probably get some decent sounding stuff. However, if you go out with some Shure SM58 microphones and a Zoom recorder of some sort, I know it's going to cost a little bit more, but that visual to those that you're interacting with, you're going to get a much better response. I know that a lot of people say it and whatnot, but the visual is almost as important as the quality and what is in the episode itself. So our studio, we have a studio, we're based in Indianapolis, by the way, for those that didn't know that. I've got an office, and then we've got a recording studio right behind me, and literally all that the recording studio is an unused office with a big round wooden table, and what I do is I take my recorder from in here, which is what I'm using right now to talk to you guys on, and I take it in there and throw up some microphones, and that's it. I try my best to not record on Skype or Hangout as possible. I mean, I'll even go to the extent of if I'm recording with somebody and we're going to be communicating via Skype, I'll send them a whole page of how to download Audacity and record what they're doing straight from their source directly, and then emailing it to me. There's some
So
other
you're
services-
talking about a double ender, correct? You're talking about doing a double ender then instead of doing Skype recording?
Correct. Now I will still record on Skype because I'm one of those guys that likes to have 3 different redundancy factors in play. But I go for best quality. That's really what I'm shooting for, and then from there the mobility. Is that a real word? Mobility?
It is now.
Mobility? I used it. Mobility. Yeah, we'll use that one. I like mobility though. That sounds.
You're making all kind of new words today, man.
Yeah.
I know.
This is the best podcasting tips ever.
Yeah. So,
There's so much knowledge.
yeah, question. So you were saying that you were talking about if you were going to be recording with somebody who was using Skype, you would have them download Audacity and send you their recording. Now you're not talking about like a co-host situation, obviously. You're talking about like an interview thing where you're kind of.
Yeah. So as an example, I don't know. You guys are big sports guys. I am not a sports guy. So when you guys started talking about the rednecks and the Sea-Raiders and the point goal scorers, I was lost. I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
I wish there was a team called the Rednecks.
That'd be awesome.
There could be.
They'd probably be with me and Ron in Florida.
Yes, that's right. Some minor league football team.
The Arkansas Rednecks. So what I did was we had an interview with a gentleman who is the PR representative for Wizard World, and Wizard World is a very large, nationwide Comic-Con, has a lot of celebrities and whatnot. And we recorded with him, and we had to do it over Skype. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to record, but I still sent him all of the information that he needed. I basically wrote out a page as if you had no computer knowledge whatsoever. This is the website you go to. This is how you install it. This is how you set it up to record. When it records, send me this file, and then we'll be good with it. But yeah, I would much rather them record it on their end, because then I don't have to worry about any kind of a lag or delay if something happens during the recording. we're still good to go. He can still record on his end.
I get what you're saying. So basically, you guys are still on Skype. You're just having him make the high-quality backup recording while you guys are talking over Skype. You've got your high-quality recording on your end. When you get his file back, you basically combine those two high-quality sources, and your Skype recording, I guess, is like a backup.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
I've had to do that a couple of times because some people just, their mics or their internet or, there's all kinds of factors, or Skype is just being difficult. Sometimes it's just, and I've done it for other people as well, where I've hit the record button in my call recorder to record my end as well as their end, just in case. Because sometimes, I'll be breaking up to them, but they're not breaking up to me. So it's nice to have that, but I don't require every guest to do it, because I know at 3 times a week release schedule, it would add a lot more time to the production.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We don't release 3 times. We're a weekly show. We release every Wednesday. But when we record 2 shows at every sitting, whether that's in studio or if it's out and about or whatever else. The other option that I do pose to those that don't know how to do what needs to be done is remote desktop in before the show. If we're slated to record at 3 o'clock, I'll let them know, hey, if you need help with this, let me know, and I'll make time at 2:30 to remote in. I'll remote in real quick, set it all up the way that it needs to be. Download what needs to be downloaded, and then be done with it in less than 30 minutes, but it gives them some leeway time. And then that, for me, that extra half an hour, but knowing that I'm going to get a good audio recording is worth it to me.
Of course, unless they're using inline mics, in which case, every time they go to talk, it's like a windshield wiper going off.
I will agree. Jared, I think that's a great idea. My co-hosts have good mics, so I think I am going to set that up, because we have been doing Skype, and the quality is not bad, but I think it probably could be a little bit better by getting all of the recordings done in high quality. That's actually, I didn't even think about doing that, but now that you bring it up, I remember reading about it when I was first setting all this stuff up.
There's actually a program, and as you guys are talking, I'll see if I can find it. But basically, it's an app that you can have somebody else. So let's say that Ron and I are doing a podcast, and we're going to communicate normally via Hangout. Well, there's this app that he can download, and what it does is it automatically records and throws it into a file. Once the recording's done, once we disconnect from Hangout, it then takes that file and uploads it to some sort of a cloud drive. Now, I think this is still in beta release, so they haven't officially released it out to everybody, but once they get that done, it's going to be super advantageous, unless you get interviews with people that are recording on desktops, laptops, whatever else, on like a corporate or an enterprise service where their IT department has locked them out from installing anything like that.
Right.
I know the name of that service too, and I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think I know that. I've heard about that app. Again, I don't remember. I think I might even have it written down in some notes. I'd heard it, but I remember the big advantage of that particular app was it's recording the call on their end before it's crossing over the internet to you.
Right.
So you're getting the recording straight into the microphone, and it ends up clear without any internet glitches. And I think, if I remember correctly, that was one of the strong advantages of that particular app you're talking about.
I gotta head out early, guys. So I gotta get back to work. But
no problem. Just plug your stuff one more time, Doc, before you go.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out filmmakersfocus.com, thedreamwarriors.net, and you can find me on Facebook. I'm friends with Joe, and it'd be great to connect with everybody. I like stopping into these things and just meeting other people. So happy to meet you all. Go Hawks!
Pleasure.
Go sports teams. Yes.
Yes.
Go Yay Sports.
Go sports. Score those unit goals.
Nice.
By the way, it's called PodClear. PodClear.
Yes,
PodClear.
that's exactly what it was. Yep.
And if you click over on the messages, the chat button, which is the second icon from the top left in the Hangout, I went ahead and threw the website on there, which is just podclear.com. But it looks like it's still in early launch. It's probably still in beta. You can still sign up by putting your email address in there, and then they'll contact you. I signed up back in early March, and I still have not gained full access, so they're still working on it.
Okay, cool.
Check that out.
Yeah, but especially for you, sir, if you've got two co-hosts, do anything and everything that you guys can do to get all three of those sounding really, really, really good.
Right. Yep.
Well, I mean, if anybody else have any more questions before we start wrapping up here?
I actually just thought of one, if I could, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I use a PC, so I haven't. Well,
Good job.
the only and I just bought it too. The only interview I've done so far is the one that I had with the gentleman here. But I definitely would in the future would like to do them over the internet. And the only thing that I've come up with so far is called Pamela Call Recorder
No.
or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, don't use it.
No.
Yeah, that's like the oldest Skype recorder. That's like the original Skype recording software, if I'm not mistaken.
It's gonna take your feed and it's gonna take their feed and it's gonna degrade both of them into almost like an old school telephone style conversation where it has that kind of a raspy sound to it. It's just not gonna sound good. Yeah, it's not gonna sound good at all.
Yeah, and my comment on that is I think okay, well, okay, I'll say this because I started.
My comment is heavy sigh.
And I started recording, and I did like some podcasts before I started the Game of Thrones podcast that didn't last, basically because co-host didn't pan out or whatever. But when I started it, my stuff was horrendous, and I started with just all software solutions, and I will tell you that is a glitch fest. Not to mention downgraded quality. But before you even get to the downgraded quality, you're dealing with all kinds of audio glitches, out of sync audio. It's not worth it, and you end up having episodes that you're like, this just sounds not. It just doesn't sound good enough to put out there.
What's another one that I could use?
Well, I would say as just to go hardware. I mean, mixer, a digital recorder, sound.
Yeah, but as far as doing like an interview with somebody else over the internet, that's not here because I have a mixer and mic where I'm at. But like as far as being able to have other people on the show, I'm looking into doing that in the future. So I want to figure out how the best way to set that up is. So.
Yeah, you'd be able to do that with a mixer. If you had a Skype call, you could still record. You could still send your sound through a mixer and have that sound coming into the mixer going out to a digital recorder. You could do that with Google Hangouts. I mean, if you want to just record the Skype conversation, you can do that through hardware connections, and then just keep that recording off of the actual PC itself.
I mean, if you want to go software, I use Ecamm Skype call recorder, or Ecamm call recorder. So it's ECC or ECAMM, I think, or ECCAM, one of those two. Ecamm. I think it's ECAM.
Isn't that only compatible with Mac?
Oh, is
Isn't
it?
it only compatible with Mac? I'm pretty sure it's what I read. Unless I read it wrong.
Snap.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? You are.
You Mac snobs.
Yeah. Apparently you're right. It's only for Mac. I wouldn't think it would.
Because that's the first one I checked because you had mentioned that. You've heard you talk about that before. So that's the first thing that I googled and came up on Mac only.
That's interesting. I didn't realize it was only for Mac. Because it's a plugin for Skype. So as soon as I open up Skype, call recorder opens up.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have thought that it would have mattered. That just for that. So.
Yeah, that was my first choice.
If you get a little bit more technical, Anthony, and I'm not sure how technical you are, but you can download and you can use a virtual audio cable. If you've never heard what a virtual audio cable is, it basically is a virtual audio cable. Yeah.
I thought there was like, something wrong with my connection. I'm like, why is it repeating when it's slow?
So basically, what a virtual audio cable does is you can set it up. If you can think of it like, on this side you've got your recorder, and then on this side you've got your PC. Okay. What the virtual audio cables are is you can create multiple different cables to connect them in different forms and fashion. So what you can do is you can have a cable that theoretically would record the output of your Skype into the input of Audacity. Or you could have the output of Google Hangouts go into the input of Audacity or whatever else that you're going to use. If you're going to be recording from multiple different sections. So let's say, how complicated can I make this? Let's say that you're interviewing two people. One guy refuses to use anything but Skype. The other guy refuses to use anything but Hangouts. You could have the output from Hangout go into channel 1 of the virtual audio virtual audio cable, and then 2 have the Skype output go into the input 2, and then take both of those through the output of your virtual audio cable into Audacity. Basically, it's endless. You can do whatever you want to with it to tell the audio internally where to go and where to route to.
Yeah, the one that adds to the complexity of that though is the talkback. So if you don't want your hosts to hear themselves talking, because if you want them to be able to hear you or hear, like, if you've got like sound effects that you're going to play on the show, or any kind of intro music or something, if you're not going to do that in post-production, then they're going to hear themselves. So, I mean, and you can deal with that in virtual audio cable, but like Jared said, the amount of routing, the complexity of the routing of those virtual audio cables kind of gets in depth a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But it depends. Like for me, it would be complex until you figure it out, but you're not going to get a cleaner audio signal.
That's true.
I'm going to get the same exact recording that I'm hearing from them, and I don't have to worry about any of the other apps downgrading the audio quality or it becoming a format that I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is this something I can download somewhere or purchase?
You can just Google virtual audio cable.
Okay, just Google it. Okay.
Yeah, it's free to download, and I think it's like you get 2 cables for free, and then it costs like $35 for the full version. But once you start playing around with it, you'll figure out that it's quite adaptable.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with everything you're talking about because I was a DJ for like 6 years. So.
Okay.
We wired stuff up all over the country, so we had to adapt to a lot of different things and situations that would happen or glitches. So I think that sounds like something definitely I'm definitely gonna look into. So thanks.
That's the best bet to go until you get to like Joe Money, where he buys a laptop for every recording and then he just throws it away afterwards.
He brings it to Goodwill.
Yeah. He's like, I can't use this one again. I've already recorded on it. Well, I'm gonna get rid of this one.
No, I wouldn't.
Bring in another laptop.
No, I want to see you smash this laptop on camera tonight.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I want to see you smash this laptop on camera tonight.
Actually, I'm on my Mac Mini at the moment. I mean, my laptop is right here.
If you were dedicated, you would do it.
Yes, smash.
You would smash an Apple product on Google Hangout.
He's gonna do it.
No, I'm still making payments on this, so that's definitely not.
Oh, that makes it even better. That means you're just really going out there, man.
Rebel.
No.
My dog is hounding me to go out, so I'm gonna jump off, guys. But thanks for all the information. Appreciate it.
Just
talking to you.
Plug your stuff real quick there.
Yeah, I'm Anthony Hayes. I have a podcast called Me, Myself, and I, and you can check it out at memyselfandiradio.com. Still a lot of things developing and evolving, but it's going really good, and appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Anthony.
Joe, I'm gonna go ahead and go to so I can prepare for my podcast.
Go ahead, Steve. Plug your stuff, man.
So you can check out my podcast that I'm about to record in like a half an hour at afotpodcast.com. We record every week while Game of Thrones is being aired. And come listen for some Game of Thrones goodness.
And we're allowed to listen because we're not related to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
If you guys want to finish up with plugging your stuff, and then I'll wrap up and give the next couple dates that we'll be doing these. So, Jared, you want to plug first?
Sure, I'm Jared Wade. I own and host through the Amalgam Podcast Network. We have a few different shows, so I encourage you to check us out at amalgampodcastnetwork.com. You can find that on the internets, but you won't find anything about sports there currently. So if you're a sports fan, go check out the Sporty Sport podcast brought to you by the Hockey and Baseball Association of Americas. That's a real thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
It probably is now.
Trademark. Boom. Got it.
And Ron?
All right, I'm Ron Caniff, and my podcast is Unsquish the Fish, Miami Dolphins fan podcast.
Awesome. And again, I'm the host, Joe Pardo. You can catch me at joepardo.net, howtodream.co, Dreamers Podcast, podcastmidatlantic.com. It's a conference in September. Come on up to just outside of Philadelphia in South Jersey. It's only $35, and we're going to have speakers, and we're going to have a creative podcast competition, and it's going to be so much fun. You're not going to know what to do because for $35, you're just getting it all. I also have a book. It's on Kindle, it's on audiobook, it's on Amazon, it's a physical book, it's cheap, it's 99 cents or $4 for the audiobook, $25 otherwise. And the next Let's Talks in the series is on April 27th at 3 p.m. So if you want to jump in, go to facebook.com, of course, and type in Let's Talk Blogging Tips. And the next Let's Talk Podcasting Tips will be April 4th at
May 4th.
Oh, yeah. May the 4th be with you. And,
May the 4th be with you.
And at 8 p.m. Eastern, of course, Eastern Standard Time. So I appreciate you guys coming out tonight, and it's been a blast talking with you guys, and I can't wait to do the next one with you.
All right. Cool.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joe.
guys.
Appreciate you having me.
Take it easy.
Anytime.